everyone, Jesterabel is back and with the Cobra Kai Season 4 review, and this view is a little bit late for me because I actually binged the entire season the day it dropped, all 10 episodes of Season 4 on the 31st, but I wanted to give myself a chance to just gather my thoughts about it and share my thoughts about this season. So, with Cobra Kai, I did a Season 3 review last year. I've been a pretty big fan of the show since Season 1. It's kept me engaged with it and always curious to see what happens next. Most shows do not do that. Most shows I feel like I keep getting baited, like waiting for something good to happen, and to only get to the last episode of the season just to be baited once again on another cliffhanger to start the next season and wait to see what happens next. So, Season 4 of Cobra Kai, this is going to have complete spoilers. The two big sells of this season was supposed to be, number one, this is Johnny and Daniel's big team up. They're finally going to combine their dojos to compete with Cobra Kai. And the other big sell point was supposed to be that Terry Silver, the villain from Karate Kid 3, was going to be coming in to this season, played by the same actor. So here we go, spoilers from now on. So what I like about this series, as always, is usually the character work. And there were some things that I was a little bit worried about that were going to be predictable. Like, I knew when, at the end of the next season, as soon as they made Robbie get with Cobra Kai, like, they're going to do something with him and Tori, right? They're going to put those two together. They're playing, like, musical boyfriends in this quadruple triangle with Sam and Miguel. But I was surprised that they actually made it feel organic, and they actually took their time with it. And they actually made me like to see the two together. They didn't all of a sudden just slam these two together. They just made them be friends for a while, and then they put them together. I want to say my two favorite characters that we got work on this season was one, Tori, which really surprised me because for the past 3 seasons, I just felt, or the 2 seasons she was involved in, I kind of felt like she was the one-dimensional bad girl character meant to be a rival for Sam, and you knew they were putting in seeds of sympathy for her, and you knew that they were going to try to redeem her as the show went on, as the show really likes to do. It likes to have the good characters go to the bad side, the bad characters go to the good side, and so on and so forth. And I wasn't looking forward to that because I'm like, it's just going to be so obvious just to make the bad girl character become good all of a sudden. I wasn't sure how I felt about that. But they made it really organic and really interesting in the season, and Tori actually became a really layered character. And I liked the relationship between her and Sam's mom and how that developed for Sam's mom, getting more of an understanding of who she was, and it really worked to bring more sympathy for Tori in terms of the kind of person she actually is. And it was believable by the time that she started to have that bit of a turnaround by the end and started to have a little bit of good come out of her. And I found myself really enjoying and really entertained every time the character came on screen. Now, opposite of her is Sam, Sam was supposed to be the good girl from the beginning, right? But not really. You know, as the seasons goes on, it really seems like Sam is kind of a villain in this show because oftentimes she comes off as selfish, especially with, you know, the kind of musical boyfriends thing that she plays. I really hope they don't try to make her get back with Robbie next season and just, you know, mess up the whole Tori-Robbie thing and break Miguel's heart again. Like Sam can be a really big villain. In this one, we actually see her maybe taking a darker turn where she is starting to feel like maybe she enjoys Johnny's Cobra Kai technique a bit more than Daniel's Miyagi-Do thing. So I think that next season I'd be curious after her big defeat, that I wonder if she's really going to go on a darker path in the next season. That would be interesting because it's like she has all these character flaws about her in the past seasons, but always on the exterior keeps this really I'm the good rich girl kind of thing going on. I'd be curious if the next season if they actually go a darker path with her, but we'll see. The other characters I really liked the work on was Hawk. I liked his redemption. I thought was a little rushed last season, but I really liked how it built it up this season. And I really enjoyed Robbie, how they kind of let his anxiety take a back seat and his back and forth with his dad take a back seat. And they kind of just let him develop on his own. A little bit more in the background this time. We didn't get a lot of him this season, but we kind of got him to develop and just get rid of all the anger he had for his dad. And I liked the relationship they set up with Kenny and how he kind of saw himself in that little boy. And I think that the actor who played the new character, Kenny, he was really good. I liked how he played him as kind of a quirky, fun-loving kid in the beginning, and then how he took a much more darker. Oh, he almost had the psychopathic smile by the time he just kind of became a bully in and of himself by the end. So I enjoyed all of that. Miguel is usually my favorite character, and I think that I cannot pronounce his name. Cholo. That's his first name. I cannot pronounce that actor's name. I think he's the best actor in the show, and he recently has been cast as Blue Beetle, so I'm glad he's doing really well. But I think I enjoyed his character the most in the first season when he was just kind of this awkward kid getting into karate. And then they put him on a much angrier route, and now they've kind of balanced that out to a more mature character, I think. I just didn't enjoy him as much in this season as I have in the past, and they're continuing on with the Johnny and Miguel drama, which is going to continue next season. So it's all fine. I just didn't enjoy him as much as I had before. I think that there's been an element of fun in his character that's just been lost. And while that might be intentional, I just kind of miss it. I thought that the Johnny dating his mother thing, I like that we finally come to a development on that and how he actually kind of feels awkward having someone like Johnny try to be his father rather than just his kind of odd sensei friend. So I want to get a little bit into the criticisms before I talk about the ending of the season. So my big criticism with this season is that it was really sold on Daniel and Johnny finally teaming up and getting together. But instead, after a couple episodes of trying to make it work, they just break up again. They break up their dojos, they can't come to an agreement, and there's not really a big attempt to get them back together, even when they find out that the girls' team and the boys' team are going to be split in the big competition. Johnny just goes and recruits another girl for his team as opposed to getting back together with Daniel. And I was disappointed with that, and this is part of my frustration with Cobra Kai, is as good as it is in some areas of character development, in other areas it just feels like a merry-go-round. It's just like repetition constantly. I feel like I'm always watching Johnny and Daniel repeat themselves. It's like they fight, they hate each other, they somehow come to an understanding with each other, and then they get into a petty fight again and break apart. And that's how it is every season, multiple times during the season. They really had them reconcile at the end of season 3 when they were able to meet Allie again, but in this season it just kind of tears it apart again, and that was disappointing. And that is unfortunately what makes me feel every time I watch Cobra Kai, even though there's some progression with like the supporting stories, like the subplots and so forth. It always feels like I'm still kind of watching the same season. Like I'm not really in another place. These are essentially the same conflicts that I've already seen before, and now this is 4 seasons in a row of it. And I just really like it if the next season took a very different turn and just didn't repeat those conflicts over and over again. Like, I mean, this was 4 seasons of Robbie's conflict with Johnny, which is largely the same thing over and over again. I just would like to feel like when I'm watching season 5 when that comes out, that I'm watching a different level of Cobra Kai, a different season, not just the same conflicts repeat themselves. So, the other flaw, I might say, it's a flaw, but it's also a positive, and it's Terry Silver's character. Now, Karate Kid 3 is the only Karate Kid movie I haven't watched, because I tried to watch it, and it was just so ridiculous and boring on other levels, and it's probably the most notorious Karate Kid film because of how cartoonish and ridiculous it was for Terry Silver to terrorize a child like that over a karate tournament. And while Cobra Kai has always kind of rode the line between being a serious drama and a more campy show, and it's always a little bit more campy elements that I'm like, well, can I really buy into this? But I guess that's just what it is. But they actually acknowledge how ridiculous Terry Silver's character was in Karate Kid 3 by writing it off as he was on cocaine during that time. He was going insane. He admits it himself. But then they kind of portray him as that same crazy cartoonish character as he was in Karate Kid 3. And I was like, well, why would you make fun of something as sort of an acknowledgement and a criticism, but then go that way yourself? Now, but it ended up turning out to be a more interesting thing because, big spoilers, by the end of the season, they brought back the character Stingray, who I thought had no purpose in season 2 just to be stupid, and he disappeared in season 3 conveniently. He comes back, and he basically is there to make a deal with Terry, and Terry beats him up and then fakes beating him up and gets him to agree to tell the cops that, what is his name? Kreese did it. So that they can convict Kreese, even though I think there's a lot more you can convict Kreese of to get him in jail. So Terry essentially plays this sort of 4D chess with Kreese to put him in jail so he can retake over Cobra Kai and kind of be the mastermind of all this. I really like that because it was a twist I didn't see coming, because Terry was kind of portrayed as Kreese's unwilling sidekick through all this. I liked his speech about how everyone has a weakness. And I honestly was getting a little bit tired of Kreese being the main villain all this time. And so I really like to see him put away and just have Terry take center stage and have this kind of crazy guy, even though I think it's ridiculous, this crazy guy is now the major villain in the show. And I'm really curious to see where that goes in season 5. So while this season had a lot of flaws I've talked about, I still really enjoyed it, and I'm still looking forward to what's going to happen in season 5. I just wish that they would progress the characters and story a little bit more in terms of like Daniel and Johnny, because it just feels like I'm always watching this back and forth between them. And if they don't intend for these two characters to ever be, to ever really see eye to eye, and that's the point of the show, that's fine, but stop teasing them teaming up like that and finally reconciling if that's not your intention. So, what did you guys think of Cobra Kai Season 4? Let me know in the comments below, and I will have more videos out this week. Thank you!